Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm Ryan Smith. I'm the president of the University of Rio Grande Community College. Thank you. I wasn't expecting applause that early. So, welcome to our beautiful campus. You know, I've done a lot of different speaking engagements and press conferences and different things. I don't think I've ever had a backdrop quite as beautiful as that. Worked out really well. So, thank goodness for that. And we'll get started with today. So, today's really a historic day. Historic from the standpoint of, with our help from our friends at The Ohio State University, agriculture is returning to Rio Grande.
Yay.
We have a short program, 3 speakers for you today. I'll start out a little bit about how we got to this point and what led us here. I'd asked Dr. Kelly Bean, our provost and chief academic officer, to talk a little bit about the curriculum and what to expect from that standpoint. And then Dr. Graham Cochran, who's a professor and associate dean of operations for the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences at OSU. We'll talk a little bit about the operations of the farm, both here and in Jackson, give you a little flavor for what we're looking for there. And I think that'll give you a better idea of what to expect. Before I get started, I want to recognize any of our trustees from University of Rio Grande Community College. If you would stand, wave your hand, something, please, and be recognized. Thank you all very much. Also want to recognize Alan Stockmeister, from the trustee from the Ohio State University. Thanks, Alan. And I certainly I can't name everybody that's been a part of all of this heading up to this, but I want to thank the local farmers who have given instrumental direction and feedback on all of this. FFA teachers, OSU extension agents, and of course our 4-H leaders, all of which are involved in the big ag community that we have grown so fond of. I also want to give a special thanks to my team and the OSU team for helping to coordinate all of this. And for Chris Williams, who runs the farm here, she was able to get the hay down for us so we could have this event on the farm with the backdrop of the windmill and everything. So it's fantastic. They all did a great job. So a little bit about the history of the farm I thought was pretty neat. It was new to me. May 23rd, 1938, Rio Grande College buys 300 acres from Harry Wood. So 84 years ago yesterday, the college acquired 300 acres from Harry Wood. They called it a self-help program. I think the idea was the students would work their way through. Part of what also was the idea was they would grow and produce things that would be consumed in the cafeteria and so on and so forth. So I think that led to some agriculture programming in the 1940s. And then eventually in 1953, the farm was sold to Bob Evans. Joining us today, by the way, are Bob and Jules' daughter, Debbie Donskoff, who's one of our trustees. And Bob's son, Steve, is here, and his wife, Becky. I know they're here in the crowd as well, so we appreciate them coming by. And anybody that knew Bob knew his love for agriculture. And Debbie shared with us, and this is what we have displayed if you stop by a little bit later here after the event and check this out. It's an honorary director of agriculture, and in her words, she said it was Dad's most cherished award. And as you might imagine, he had a lot of awards. So Fred Daly, the director of agriculture, awarded that to him, and something that he cared a great deal about. He always wanted to see ag at Rio Grande, and agriculture was so important to him, and he was such a good advocate for it. And there was another fellow by the name of Ed Valburn, who was a partner with him. And as I was thinking about when they were talking about agriculture at Rio Grande, I thought it's probably been 20 years ago. And of course, most things that I think of, it's probably been 30 years ago that this discussion came up. His daughters, Brenna Butler and Beth Lewis, are in the back as well, Ed's daughters. Thanks for joining us, ladies, and also his sister, Kay Irvin, who's a trustee with us as well. So we have a lot of tangential representation. Those two gentlemen, unfortunately, have passed on, but I know that they're looking down smiling today to see what is transpiring. So all of that happened. Farm transfers to Bob Evans, and then leads us up to 2017. 2017 is when the Bob Evans Corporation, and we're really fortunate today to have the CEO, Mickey Mills, and John Crothers, the VP of HR. We appreciate you all coming down. Their gift of 270 acres back to the University of Rio Grande is what enabled this to happen. And they saw the importance of it and what we could do with it from the institutional standpoint, and we greatly appreciate it. They did ask that we would continue to provide the parking for Bob Evans Farm Festival, and that's exactly what we've talked about. We'll continue to do. We already have plans for that as we talk about the operations of the farm, and they're planning on doing that for the foreseeable future, and we all know how important that is to our area and to each of us. So we're really excited. Thank you again for joining us. Out of those 270 acres, there's 15 miles of bike paths back here that you can hike and bike on. And if you haven't been on them, they're fantastic. They're really a lot of fun. And as a Gallia County resident, I'm embarrassed to say it took me a long time to get there, but when I did, I really liked it. We've got about 150 acres on the bottom here that will be available for grazing for this program, so we're excited about that. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this because I think it's a great tagline when I was looking at the Bob Evans website. Where good grows. And I love that. There's so much that is so perfect about that statement, where good grows, and it just made me feel good about our partnership and where we're headed. So thank you for having the foresight for that. Clearly, we're coming to this day because of a lot of hours of preparation and discussion on what this could look like. And agriculture being our number one economy in the state of Ohio, I always knew it was big and there was a lot of opportunity and avenues. Until you start studying the curriculum and the possibilities, it is incredible how many different directions this could go. So for us, it was like, do we narrow this down to something that we can kind of wrap our arms around and start with? And we clearly moved toward production livestock so that we could narrow it down to beef science, meat science, and animal welfare. And that's where we will start. This is kind of phase one for us. We had a decision to make about 9 months ago when we started planning this. Do we let the perfect be the enemy of the good? In other words, do we wait until fall of 23 and try to make this a more robust program, or do we get started? And my opinion is it's always better to get started and get momentum going. We're thrilled to have our partnership with Ohio State, which allowed us to get this going faster, and they'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is phase one. What we want to see is kind of where this goes, how much demand there is, what our students want to learn. There's a lot of different things we can do. But at Rio Grande, we're not going to be all things to all people. We want to specialize and really do well in the space that we're in. Ohio State, on the other hand, is big enough and has the scale to be all things to all people, which offers a lot of opportunity for our students beyond Rio Grande as well. So just keep that in mind as we move forward, but we're excited to be able to say this will start in the fall of 22. We'll have some curriculum, and with that, I would ask Dr. Bean if she would come forward and discuss the curriculum a little bit.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. What a turnout. So I'm not going to bore you with too much of the granularity of the curriculum, but I want to talk sort of in broad terms about what we're hoping to accomplish and why we think this curriculum is important to our constituency, our community, our students. So this fall, Rio Grande Community College will welcome our first cohort of students into our Associates of Meat Sciences program. Graduates from this program will earn a credential that gives them a competitive advantage in seeking jobs in the agricultural industry, working on or running their own farms. So we're hoping that this will broaden folks' opportunities. We were just talking about this a moment ago, that students will take this back to their family farms perhaps, or understand that maybe they can move on and get a degree in like agricultural communication or engineering or something like that, that this is an entryway into other opportunities. We know our local community is excited, here you all are, to see this program grow right here at home. The collaboration with Ohio State is deeply important, and it's also as important to understand that this right now is a local program for us. Rio is super excited about locating it right here. We also know that with robust FFA membership across the state, such a program will appeal beyond our 4-county region, that we are going to expand across the state, I hope. This is my goal. This is my CAO blue sky optimism, that I think that we can become a statewide impact impactful educational program. This new program is the result of a collaboration, as you know, between Rio Grande and Ohio State. What will that look like for students? Ohio State faculty will teach the agricultural and animal sciences courses, and RGCC will provide all other instruction. That includes general education, small business management, safety courses, and more. It's important to understand that while we have this long-distance collaboration, we will have the full support of student academic advisors and student affairs coaches, student success coaches, right here on campus. They will still be here for this program as well. So while students may need to communicate with faculty at Ohio State, they will do it through our technology right here at home. Important to note also, nope, that's it. That's all the things that are important to know. Focusing on beef cattle, small ruminant production, and the end products, the program offers students significant hands-on experience with livestock and meat science. Now here are some of the courses, just some of them that students will be able to participate in. Introduction to beef cattle, small ruminant production, animal welfare and behavior, feeding management, the science of meat cuts and meat quality, and more, of course. We're especially also excited to add opportunities for additional hands-on experience, internships with regional agricultural and related industries, research projects with faculty, and extension engagement or field days that include things like beef quality assurance, calving clinics, livestock mortality composting. That's going to be my next major. Farm to Fork Ag Day. And also we will add small short-term certificates so that students can come and get a sense of what the program is, maybe go home for a while, and then come back and finish. So what we really want is this to be broad and available to students at any iteration of their education, and also a pathway perhaps to a 4-year education. The education will be deeply hands-on and experiential. That's really, really important to know. So we are proud in advance of the students who will join us this fall, and we really look forward to welcoming them. And I have to add my thanks to the faculty and staff at Ohio State who have worked with us to create this program in what I am sure, I've been an academic for 30 years, is absolute record time. No one does this in 9 months. We win. Also, moving forward, as the president just mentioned, we're going to take in information and input from the local community, students, other stakeholders, Ohio State. And we will be adding to this program. We are just getting started. And please welcome Graham from Ohio State.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to start by extending my greetings on behalf of Vice President for Agricultural Administration and Dean Kathy Ann Kress. I'm here representing her today, and the remarks I have are brought from her on behalf of our college team. Lots from our college team. So let me start by just, if you could raise your hand if you work as part of our College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. Raise your hand real high and wave. You know, both folks that are down here in this community, some other folks that work with us in Columbus, just really excited about this partnership. On a personal note, I do want to mention it's exciting for me to be here today also. I was actually in Southern Ohio all weekend, went home for meetings yesterday and back here today. I started coming here in 3rd grade to lead ponies at the Bob Evans Farm Festival with my 4-H club. I came here in high school to Rio to take my first college classes on a bus that came from Jackson. And then also my father benefited from Rio being here, went to school and got his college degree as a second career and taught. He graduated from high school about the same time I graduated from, or he graduated from Rio about the same time I graduated from high school, and had another career in teaching. So a special place, and just excited to be able to be a part of this partnership. My role at Ohio State now, I've worked for Ohio State for about 26 years. I serve as a professor and associate dean for operations, as President Smith mentioned. I have the privilege to work with our whole team and manage about a little over 11,000 acres in Columbus, Worcester, and across the state that we use for our experiential learning opportunities, for our research programs. And as part of that, the Jackson Agricultural Research Station, Scott Payne's in the audience here, wave Scott, manages that research station. We'll talk a little bit more in a minute about how that'll be a part of this partnership, especially early on, so we can get things running, since President Smith insisted on going fast. So I'll just extend a few more things beyond what President Smith and Provost Bean have already mentioned. First, I'd just like to mention a couple things about our college. We're one college with a whole lot of components. united in a purpose, and we use the tagline, "We sustain life." So if you think about agriculture, sustaining life is a critical part of that. That's the tagline that we use for our college. We work across the state, a heavy presence in Columbus and Worcester, and then in all 88 counties with our extension offices and research stations, field labs, and farms around the state, places like Jackson and Island and Lake Erie and everything in between. You can imagine some days it's a little daunting waking up, but it's also why it's an exciting part of working for that college. We do a lot of work with, we have over 100 unique centers that do things around the food and the food system, environment, natural resources, sustainability, and all those kinds of things that are so important to agriculture. I do want to secondly mention just a couple things about this partnership to extend what's already been mentioned. We see this as really important. We've been at the table working hard at this with the Rio team because it is important. It's important for this part of the state, it's important for agriculture, and it's important to our college and where we're headed. To be able to carry out the land grant mission, part of the reason this partnership is important is just enhancing educational opportunities for students here going to Rio, and then also students that might be interested in a 4-year degree and additional educational pathways. I do want to also mention that, as part of this partnership, the assets here that you see behind me, the assets at Rio are critically important, and that's how we're going to be able to create some really exciting new opportunities. Our partnership and bringing to the table some of our expertise in animal sciences and some of the other disciplinary expertise that Dr. Bean mentioned. Also, just really excited about how this is going to strengthen the pipeline. There are a lot of jobs in agriculture in Ohio and beyond, and jobs that we're having trouble filling. And so we need students to go to work or to go to school and then go to work here in Southern Ohio. We also need them in all kinds of places in Ohio to fill those jobs. And this is an important part of helping us enhance our ability to do that. I also want to mention how this partnership helps our college with some of our strategic goals. 3 that I'll mention. One is that we have a focus around students first as a college. Everything we do every day, we think about students and those decisions. And so educational accessibility is a part of students first for us. And so just think about what you've heard so far and how it's going to improve educational accessibility for students in the region, and as Dr. Bean mentioned, maybe beyond the region. Capacity building for people and communities. And you can see how this is going to add additional capacity for this part of the state in particular. And then partnerships are just so critical to what we do. This is another exciting partnership for us that's important. So we're looking forward to getting started right away this fall, offering a few initial animal sciences classes this year. I'm excited to work with Kelly's team as we enhance this partnership, figure out the rest of the details. Excited about a 2-year degree that students could get here at Rio. If they're interested, the potential for a pathway to a 4-year degree at Ohio State. And then wherever that will go in the future. Other opportunities that Dr. Bean had mentioned around things like certificates, internships, engaging in research, and just a lot of really exciting opportunities. So then in wrapping up, the last thing I wanted to mention that President Smith wanted me to talk about is a little bit about how we envision the farm operations working to support experiential learning opportunities. I think Rio and Ohio State and our college share that value for hands-on learning. It's a critical part of what we do. So initially, so that we can start right away, we're planning on using our Jackson Agricultural Research Station early on while we're setting up the farm here at Rio. Scott Payne, that manages that station, we've already been in conversations and have a good plan for how we think we can do that. If you're not familiar with Jackson, the research station there focuses on beef, cattle, and sheep production, research and extension programs with a focus on reproductive efficiency. Currently in our herd there, we have about 240 heifers and 2-year-old cows plus their calves. We also have a flock of about 75 Katahdin sheep or hair sheep, if you're not familiar with them. And almost 500 acres of pasture land there at the research station, animal handling facilities and barns. It's co-located with the Jackson Agricultural Research Station is co-located with the extension office there. So we have a facility that has conference room space, offices for the team there, etc. So for this program, we plan to set up a temporary handling facility right adjacent to the extension building. It works well for classes because you can go in and out from a conference room or a restroom to doing hands-on learning activities with cattle or sheep there. And we think that will work well. That equipment that we'll purchase there will move here as we get started with the farm here, so working with President Smith and the Rio team on setting up an operation here. that our OSU staff will help operate as part of the partnership. So the vision here includes getting things set up like fences and waters, the basic infrastructure that we need. Also, talking about things like a covered handling facility. Also options for an expanded facility that include restrooms, a small lab, classrooms, that kind of thing, so that students could do the same thing we were talking about in terms of moving in and out from doing hands-on learning activities that might be outside to inside, and we'll figure that all out in the coming months here. Once we have the farm set up at Rio, we plan to transition those class labs to here from Jackson. But then Jackson will still be available for additional hands-on learning experiences. Our faculty are there regularly doing research, so think about the great opportunities for them to go and maybe spend some time with our faculty there as part of their research programs. So finally, coming back around to what I mentioned at the beginning, I just want to say the incredible appreciation that our college and Ohio State has for the people and partners that are part of agriculture in Ohio. Lots of familiar faces in the audience here today, and just nice to have this group together and talking about a new opportunity. And we're looking forward to this new partnership with Rio and the opportunity that it brings, and we'll look forward to it growing and flourishing in the next few years.
Thanks, Graham. Before I forget, I want to thank Julie Stevens, representative of Congressman Johnson's office, who brought us a proclamation today to mark this historic day. I see Kelly from Treasurer Sprague's office, and Lieutenant Governor's office is represented with Brent Stepp. So we appreciate everybody's participation. If I missed anybody, I apologize. We're really excited about today, and I think this gives you a little sense of kind of where we're headed and what we're doing. Hopefully you have a better idea of where we're headed. I wanted to make one thing clear, that this is not a takeover. We have a lot of great things happening in Rio Grande, and we just don't have the bandwidth to take over Ohio State right now. So, no, in all seriousness, and when you live in a small town, rumors go and they spread, and it's like your partnership turns into, they're going to the southern campus now all of a sudden. So, we're just really thrilled to have their expertise in an area that we clearly don't have. Dr. Bean and I learn something new about this space every day. It's been a great learning experience for all of us. So we look forward to it. I'm going to take a few questions if there are any, but I want to remind or ask the board members if they'd step over here after the event. We'll get a picture. One of the things I've now come to appreciate is our archivist has all this information on when the farm was bought and things like that, and there's a lot of old pictures, and if we don't take pictures of today, in 70 or 80 years, somebody's going to be mad at me for not getting that done. So I'm going to do my part, but like I said, we're happy to take some questions if there are any. Otherwise, we'll conclude the event. Yes?
Question? What will the transition for a student seeking a 4-year degree look like? So if they complete 2 years here and seek a 4-year degree at the Ohio State University, what will that transition look like for that student?
I can tell you a little bit about the conversations we've had, and then you guys can chime in. They have, Ohio State, of course, the Columbus campus has academic requirements for entry. And as we begin advising students who are perhaps beginning their second year, we will help them understand what those requirements are. And they also have opportunities for students to make visits to those campuses, to acclimate to a larger campus, a different environment, a different learning environment. So that's what that will look like. I think that nothing about the curriculum will change. It'll be mostly around advising, socializing, and understanding what the requirements are for moving from one campus to another.
So I'll just mention again, one of the reasons we're excited about this is one of the challenges that we faced over the years is that Columbus campus has begun selective admissions that happened since I was in high school. And so that's made it more challenging for students to begin their academic career at Ohio State for some students. My son, as an example, he started in our campus in Worcester, spent some time there, and then transitioned to Columbus. So these opportunities to move, one of the things that will be important in this partnership is aligning the curriculum so that as many of the courses that they take at Rio can count towards that 4-year degree as possible. So that's something that'll be really important that we'll work on with their team, and they've already done a lot of that legwork. The second part is students can move from any college or university in Ohio to Ohio State after they have a certain number of credit hours and a minimum GPA requirement. It's different than starting there as a first-year student. So there's a pathway that's very common from community colleges across the state, from other colleges and universities, for students to transition to the Columbus campus. The other thing that's important is the academic coaches that Dr. Bean referenced to, or the advisors working together. So I would envision that we would do some work in having the advisor team here at Rio work with our advisor team for students that want to do that, so the transition is as seamless as possible.
Any further questions, Paul?
Yeah, do you have any idea how many full-time jobs, I know Scott's here, I don't want to put him on the spot, but how many full-time jobs the farm might create with the expansion?
Probably, I don't, maybe it died. Guess that answers your question. The microphone went out, Paul. I don't know. I think that this is something we'll grow into and see where it goes. That's part of the question. I mean, I think anecdotally there's a lot of demand for agriculture programming in our area in Southeast Ohio. So I think that will kind of determine on what path we take and how large it grows. I feel very fortunate to have Scott and Jackson and our land to be able to grow into. This thing's going to, we'll respond to what the demand looks like and go from there. So not sure on the jobs, but there's a lot of jobs awaiting our graduates. I do know that. Lenny, do you have a question?
Yes, I did. Will our students receive an associate's degree in farming before they go on to get a degree at Ohio State?
Yes.
Or will it be solely Ohio State?
Well, they will have an associate's degree from Rio Grande Community College.
Okay.
And then those 2 years, if they choose, will apply to a 4-year degree at the Ohio State campus.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Please help us spread the word. I like to say, come grow with us at Rio Grande now. So where good grows, right? Thanks, Bob Evans. Thanks everybody for participating, coming out. Appreciate it.